Storytime, my best friend set me up to get jumped. So a little background information, I was 14 at the time and a freshman in high school, and I've been best friends with this girl who we're gonna call Lindsay for a little less than a year, which is not a long time, but it felt like we've known each other since birth. The only annoying thing about her was that she desperately wanted to be popular, to the point where she would embarrass herself just to get the popular kids to like her, which obviously never worked. Fast forward to high school, Lindsay meets a group of senior girls, who I guess you would call the hot Cheeto girls, and she immediately starts dressing and acting just like them, and she started acting super weird towards me. Well, eventually Lindsay introduces me to them, and I actually liked them. I thought that they were funny and nice. But the problems began whenever they started paying more attention to me than they were Lindsay. You could tell that she was pissed off with this because she was dressing and acting like them, trying to fit in. Meanwhile, there's me who didn't change anything about myself for them to like me. Fast forward, the one night I'm on the phone with Lindsay and she goes, "I don't think I like them anymore. They're super rude." And then she told me that the main girl of the group, Sierra, was talking on me and wanted to fight me. Part 2 about how my best friend set me up to get jumped. So like I said, she told me that the main girl of the group, Sierra, wanted to fight me. And then Lindsay says, yeah, we should fight her instead. And I told her I was not going to do that because I am not a fighter. Never have been, never will be. And then she goes, well, you might want to rethink that because she really wants to fight you. Obviously, I wasn't rethinking it. Instead, I just decided to distance myself from her. And I guess that Sierra had been talking about how I distanced myself and how it was weird. And Lindsay saw this as the perfect opportunity for her to become their new favorite. And she goes, oh, well, I wasn't going to say anything, but I think the reason why she's being distant is because she's talking to your man. Because Sierra's also been complaining about how her boyfriend's been cheating on her again, and she would always go after the girl. Fast forward, I'm in the bathroom the one day and all of them walk in, and then Sierra tells me that she wants to fight. A teacher walked in and literally saved my life because all 4 of them were standing there ready to fight me. So then I text her and ask her why, and she told me about what Lindsay said. Obviously I told her it wasn't true, and the next day she ended up jumping Lindsay because Lindsay was the one talking to her boyfriend. Not only that, but she was literally trying to become Sierra. It was super weird. Anyway, so after this, I stopped being friends with all of them, and whenever Sierra asked me why I stopped being friends with them, even though she thought that everything was squashed, I was like, listen, you're a really cool girl, and I think that you're super funny, and I would love to be friends with you, but honestly, I don't want to be friends with somebody who's literally going to physically harm me over a rumor that they heard instead of just talking to me about it first to make sure it's even true. Surprisingly, she was fine with it. She was like, okay, that's valid. I'm sorry about that. Which I was surprised that she didn't want to fight me because I didn't want to be friends with her. But anyways, now if we see each other, we'll talk to each other, but other than that, I try to keep my distance.
Tell me if I'm tripping or you would have cut off your best friend for the same exact reason. To keep things anonymous, we're going to call her Opal. Me and Opal met back in, I believe, 2021 when I was still a manager at Foot Locker. I had just got promoted, so I was new to this particular mall. But she saw me interacting with a man, and she confronted me about this man, even though me and him were not talking romantically. And ironically, that's how we became cool. We started taking our breaks together. And then eventually I invited her to hang out with me outside of the mall because I thought she was pretty cool. And after the first time we hung out, we became inseparable. When we first started hanging out, she didn't have a car. She didn't have her license either, up until March of 2022. In March of 2022, we took a trip on the train to go pick up her car from her grandfather. And then I drove us back to the state that we live in. But since I would be the one to drive us around all the time when she got her car, she wanted to return the favor. I think this is very important to note for this particular story. Then in April of 2022, she got kicked out of her house. And then after getting kicked out, she found out she was pregnant with her first child. So this time was a very tough time for her. But also because she had more freedom, she wanted to make sure she exercised that freedom. So one Thursday night in April, I was going out with my sister for her birthday. Now, I was freshly 21, so it was a big deal that I was even able to go. But I was just going to drive my car and not drink because of the fact that I'm really not a drinker. So I was fine with not drinking. One of my guy friends happened to call me as I was getting dressed and ready to leave the house. And he offered to drop me off and pick me up because of the area that I was going in. He already know how to park and get down here. With that being said, he picked me up, and as I was on my way to the function, Opal calls me. I tell Opal that I was on my way to a function and that my friend would be dropping me off and picking me up. She insisted that she pick me up. I told her it was fine and I had a ride secured, but she insisted that she pick me up this night. Insisted that she pick me up this night. She told me to let her know when I was ready to leave, and I told her that the function ended at 3 and I'll probably stay the whole time because the function was for my sister. At 2 a.m., she sent me a text, but I didn't see the text because I was boogieing on down. But she texted me saying that she locked her keys in her car. But once the function was finally over, I called her phone. Now, mind you, I did see the text message, but I'm calling her phone. Calling. And she's not answering. Hate to do this, but y'all gonna have to come back for part 2. Am I tripping, or would you have cut off your best friend for the same exact reason? Part 2. It's 3 a.m. I'm calling shorty. I'm calling back to back, and the phone is ringing. She's not answering the phone. It's not even like the phone's going to voicemail. It's ringing every single time. She's not answering the phone. I text her going through. She's not answering. My sister was staying 10 minutes away from the spot that we were at. But I needed to go home because I had to work in the morning. Luckily, my sister knew this black Uber app. She told me to download it, had a reference code. I ended up getting a ride home for $5 because if I had to call a Lyft or Uber, I would have easily spent $70, easily. And bro, when I tell you, she did not hit me up until I was 2 hours into my shift the next day. And said allegedly, her phone died and she was locked out of her car after I had already secured a ride home. And she insisted that she pick me up, only for it to be time for me to need a ride home, and she's nowhere to be found. I articulated how I felt, and after that, I stopped talking to her. I literally saw her probably like a few weeks after that. Stop laughing. I probably saw her a few weeks after that, and she literally was locked out of her car, and I walked past her. I know I'm not saying I was right for that. I'm really not saying I was right for that, but that's how much I was not talking to her. We did not talk again until she gave birth to her first child because she FaceTimed me to show me the child, and she apologized for the situation. Shortly after that, she becomes pregnant with her second child. We talked a little bit through that pregnancy, but we did not see each other again and actually start talking again until she gave birth to her second child. Then the four of us started hanging out. Me, her, and the babies. We would go and do everything together. Then she started having visitation days with the baby daddy. So when she would drop off the kids, she would try to coordinate something with me so we can hang out. One day in particular, I worked a 9-hour shift. It was towards the end of my shift. She called. She said she just dropped off the kids. She asked, could we hang out? I tried to be mindful of her time because I don't got no kids. I can hang out whenever I want to. So since she had the free time to hang out, I tried to be considerate of her time. So we went to go hang out. I'm on my way there. I'm 5 minutes away. She calls me. She says that she tried to take cash out the ATM and the ATM ate her card. She said she put the card in and never came out. I'm trying to figure out what time of ATM it is because at this point I'm about to pull up to the ATM, try to break into the ATM, get her card back. She's like, no, it's no biggie. I'll just come in. I'll come back in the morning. They said that they can open up the machine. I'm like, who's they? Google is what she tells me. Anyways, she tells me they can open up the machine and get her card back. So she'll just come back tomorrow, whatever case may be. Cool. I get up to the Dave & Buster's. We sit down to get some food. She says, hey, can I send you the money since the ATM ate my card? I said, okay, that's fine. Cool. Send me the money. We order. I order wings. She orders a steak. She gets up, goes to the bathroom, comes back, and then she's like, actually, I can't send you the money today. Can I give you the money tomorrow? After she ordered the steak. That tap dance on my nerves. She calls me the next morning. I don't answer because I was off. I low-key slept in. Then she texts me a picture of the ATM and said, girl, why was the card in my pocket the whole time? So there's a few things I have to assume. I have to assume that you put on all of the same clothes that you had on last night to go up to that ATM. Second thing that I have to assume is that you lost every marble that you have in your brain, because what do you mean that the ATM ate your card? Never gave it back. The whole time you had the card in your pocket. We were supposed to meet up later on that day. We didn't end up meeting up because the plans didn't work out. She said that she would give her father the cash because she was going to see me and give me the cash. But she said she was going to give her father the cash and cash at me. Mind you, we were talking to just about every day. Now this is a Wednesday. She sends me the money on Saturday and then texts me saying, what you doing? Girl, what? In that moment, I realized that maybe we were not compatible as friends. You left me stranded. I forgave you for that. I said, okay, we cool, we good. Then the ATM ate your card. You order a steak. What if I didn't have that money? And I go the whole week without getting my money back? Then you text me as if nothing happened. Was I wrong? I pray that God puts a hedge of protection over her and her children and allow her to have everything that she needs and everything that she wants in this life. I just believe that God allowed me to have this friendship so that I can grow as an individual and also that she can grow as an individual. And even if we were in each other's lives for a short season, I think that it was a needed season. Not only for me, but for her as well.